What is an audit checklist? Well, typically it's a list of requirements from the standard, followed by questions that are applicable to each requirement, and then a column where the auditor can make notes of audit findings, documents, and records. It's as simple as that. It can be used when preparing for an audit and while you conduct the audit activities. Is it any good? Well, the audit checklist is a double-edged sword. Let's bring up the pros and cons. Now, I'm Peter Sebelius, the author of the ISO 13485 Internal Auditor course that you can find on medicaldevicehq.com. If you need a formal training on auditing, check out if my courses would be a good fit. Now, let's get back to the audit checklist. One good thing with an audit checklist is that it provides well-formulated questions that you can use to interview the auditee for each requirement in the standard. If you are inexperienced, it can be difficult to come up with relevant questions on the fly. It's easy to ask questions that result in yes/no answers or where the question implies different requirements than those of the standard. But if the questions have been prepared in an orderly fashion beforehand, it simply improves the quality of the questions that you will ask. Another good thing with a checklist is that it ensures coverage of all the requirements. Now, you might not be looking at making an audit cover every requirement in ISO 13485, but even so, if you are just covering, let's say, a subclause 7.3, you can ensure that all requirements were addressed by strictly following the audit checklist. And last, among the advantages of the audit checklist, they can be used when you review the documented information before conducting the audit activities. The review that I'm referring to here will be brought up in another video, but in short, you should read up on the auditee's procedures and documents before completing the audit plan. And when you do, there will basically always be questions and things you want to look into once you engage with the auditee. And the audit checklist is a really good place to make notes of those things that you want to bring up. Having said all this, it sounds like a great idea, but there are most certainly bad things about audit checklists. Luckily, most of the bad things depend on how you use the checklist. Now, the first bad thing is that there is a risk of auditors becoming too rigid in the process, meaning that the audit becomes a tick box or checkbox exercise rather than an exploration of areas that need deeper investigation. Now, if you know that you can have an audit checklist and allow yourself to take detours or dig deeper into other areas, this can obviously be mitigated, but it's still a common side effect of using audit checklists. Now, the next bad thing is that the auditor risks getting tunnel vision. Let's say that you, the auditor, ask for a documented procedure related to design and development. The auditee presents the procedure for design and development and you tick the box and say, yep, there is one. However, as you were busy with your audit checklist with subclause 7.3, you do not react to the fact that the design and development procedure does not conform to document control requirements at all, which would be found if you use the checklist for subclause 424, which is relating to document control. Now, this is what I mean by tunnel vision. And this is obviously also something that is related to the checklist approach that I brought up before. Now, the better you know the standard, the greater your ability to identify non-conformities outside the clause that you are currently working on will be. Now, the trick is to use it as an inspiration or help with some initial questions when you start auditing a new area. But don't get stuck in the outline of the audit checklist because you are almost guaranteed to miss things. So use the audit checklist with caution. And please note, the audit checklist is not required by any standard that I'm aware of, and you should not share it with the auditee. It's your internal working document that you use as an aid to come up with questions or as a means of making notes with reference to the different audit criteria in the standard. That was a short introduction to the audit checklist. Check out our other videos relating to audits, or why not the articles on this topic that are available to read on medicaldevicehq.com. I hope to see you soon.